Desmond, I'm delighted to be here with you at your most amazing house. This, I think, is the most dreamy house I've ever seen in my life. I love it. So it's flint and it's brick, and it's got this Dutch influence with a lovely OG gable ends. It must thrill you every day to
Yes,
look at this.
early morning, absolutely beautiful to come out and see this with the sun on it. This cement ashlar was put on about 1870.
Cement ashlar, so they've actually moulded that.
Yes, and then they ran out of money so abruptly.
Yes.
They never did that. And that is actually rather prettier, the pink brick.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Anyway.
But the other reason I'm delighted to be here, Desmond, is to meet you and your eyebrows. I just love your eyebrows.
Yes.
So you are famous for starring in Normal for Norfolk, you
Yes.
and your house.
Yes.
And it really portrays the life of an aristocratic gentleman and how you're keeping this amazing farm alive and house, keeping it up on 250 acres. You were sort of the precursor, I reckon, to Jeremy Clarkson. But you're more entertaining than Jeremy, and you're better looking.
He's better.
And I think your sunglasses, which I can buy a set, you said, in your gift shop.
Yes, in our shop.
With the glasses,
Eyebrows,
with the eyebrows.
A very useful addition to everyone's essential accoutrements for an evening out.
And I'm sure that's partly why they chose you, not only for your wonderful personality, to feature in the BBC series, which ran to 2 series, 10 programmes.
Yes.
And I really enjoyed watching that because it comes across as a beautiful, gentle lifestyle, but it's really difficult, isn't it, to keep a house up like this?
There's always something to do, like newly planted border by my girlfriend Harriet in Dudley. Peaches missing, there used to be peaches there. They're hedge to cut, and now Peter and various people are helping build a new, redo the ha-ha.
Yes,
and in the back, yes, and some nice people walking around the garden, following a map, and we have quite a few visitors in the summer.
So you need to, in order, so basically I think when this house was in 1906, when that rich lady bought it and she had staff oozing out of every corner, butlers, chauffeurs, gardeners, it was quite a place.
Quite a place.
Now you have to upkeep a house like this. You couldn't do it on 1,000 acres. It wouldn't pay for the roof and all the work that needs to do in it. So on 250 acres, you're really pushing it. But what you've done, Desmond, is you breathe new life in it by doing the television series from here, having your wonderful cafe, which if you look at the reports on TripAdvisors, it's pretty good food. Looking forward to that later. The gardens. What else? And it's the whole environment, because you are a naturalist, aren't you, really? You're looking after the countryside around it as well.
We're very lucky to be right beside the marshes, which winter, thousands of geese and duck and waders frequent, a few things at this time of year. And here come visitors. That's 20 quid approaching. Very good. We have to have these rather large badges so that we can see interlopers.
Oh, they sneak in under the wire
but the large badge can be visible from afar.
And presumably, Desmond, part of the attraction is to come and see the eyebrows.
They come and see the eyebrows.
So are you going to give them a wave?
We might go and approach.
Okay,
we'll go and approach them and see, come and see the workmen as well. Come and see this. We've got a grant to do this and to redo the roof of the summer house. Hello. Thank you for coming.
Hello.
Look,
we're just filming Desmond for YouTube.
Do you know Bunny Guinness from Gardener's Question Time? Yeah, you don't often see her, but you hear her.
You're very good at pretending.
You on your garden.
You're giving advice.
Yeah.
Oh, advice.
Advice and talking.
No, we're talking.
You're in the capable hands.
Yes, but we mustn't. She's off to Ireland, so we're going to.
Way,
No, you do what you want. But there's a nice walk around there to the kitchen garden, and go and talk to Amanda and tell her how nice it is.
And then spend a lot of money in the cafe.
A lovely cafe. Peter.
Sorry?
Now, can you do some napping?
Likewise.
No, you are keeping
right.
them upright, aren't you?
Has it? Oh, well
Doesn't
done.
matter, a bit of
It's
wobble.
the first time I've seen it. It's lovely. Thank you
Would
very
you
much.
move this slab? That one?
So here,
That
Desmond's
slab? Sorry.
just
I
instructing,
can't. I'm always telling people what to do.
is instructing people on making the ha-ha. And for those who don't know what a ha-ha is, the idea is that you get an uninterrupted view. So it kept the cattle out of the garden, and yet you didn't see a fence. So it makes the garden look about 30 times the size, doesn't it?
Yes.
They are
This is not a
amazing.
real ha-ha. I call it a mini ha-ha.
Well, it's about 2 foot high.
Yes, yes,
But
yes.
it would keep out what? Rabbits? No, it wouldn't,
Yes,
would
I
it?
don't know. This is going to be a little house for lizards.
Oh, so you've amended your
Well,
bit.
they never used to be here, but we're going to make them a place for amphibians.
Right, that's a very good idea.
I don't know
think
it'll work, but we'll see.
a
We'll
lot
see.
of people, when they're building walls, are leaving little spaces for birds' nests, mice,
Yes.
all that sort of thing, lizards. So it's
Yeah.
a really nice idea.
And this awful balance of ivy, or to have ivy or not to have ivy. And
so what's your view on that,
Well,
Desmond?
cautious about ivy on the buildings because it keeps the moisture in. But
But
it's nothing nicer to find a hedge sparrow's nest with these beautiful blue eggs, and it's in the anyway. But you've got to.
The National Trust reckon that ivy actually protects the wall from the freeze-thaw. So
From the what?
For the freeze-thaw action of frost. You know,
Well,
the
maybe
water
it's
and the
probably
water,
true, but that may be.
freeze-thaw and
They
bursting.
are a bit confused on most things at the moment.
You have to stop it getting up into the roof, that's for
Yes.
sure. I'm just looking here, Desmond, and I can see another gable end there with the OG arches.
And that
What
says
is the-
1908.
1908.
And then
What
that
is the
bit
one
there,
behind?
those are the old kitchens, and there's a beautiful cast iron stove in there, freestanding stove.
Right.
It would have taken a ton of coal to boil an egg, but
They had a ton of coal.
they had a ton of
and
coal.
a load of money.
I've now put a floor over it. I've left the stove in situ,
Yes.
and it's my office.
Oh, lovely.
And it's very nice, early morning.
To be honest,
Early morning, and that, what you call it, Virginia creeper is getting a bit out of control.
I would get it.
I think we've got to get it at
What
it.
I do with that is I cut it off at the bottom with a, a little
Yes.
chainsaw or whatever, and then when it sprouts again, I kill it off with.
Yeah.
Because if you pull it off the building, you pull off the
I
tiles.
know, you've got to
and
pull
all
it off
that.
carefully.
And you can do so much damage. So I
Yes.
find that way much quicker. But just,
No,
but
what time is it, Peter?
this is going to be so we're going to be interrupted.
No,
It's 11:41. It's not lunchtime yet.
not lunchtime yet,
Another hour's
Peter.
work to do, darling. So what I love about this place is everywhere I look, I see there's that lovely little summer house in the wall there.
Yes.
All the walls, they're just
know.
so beautiful.
Well, sadly, he's not here anymore. A lovely man called Rodney Brett used to do odd jobs here for about 20 years.
Yeah.
And he really pointed up all these walls, and anyway, did a wonderful job keeping them going. But we have got the valerian is got to be managed.
Yeah, because the valerian eats into the
roots,
water,
yeah.
doesn't it? So Desmond, can
You
we come and
want-
look at the sunken garden
Yes.
now?
This
You
is
will be marvellous.
this is the rosemary.
Oh right, so it's actually gone in
I mean,
the wall.
we cut it hard back each year. It
Yes.
flowers, in March, and it's lovely.
So Desmond, this is the sunken garden, and tell me, this was put in 1906-ish by?
The architect was Sir Guy Dorber, who was born in King's Lynn, but did a lot of work in the Cotswolds and in this bit of Norfolk.
And who was the person living in the house
And the
then?
family who what then were called Watson Kennedy.
And she had deep pockets.
Yes, and she wanted it tip top, and had it was like a lot of these big houses, employed a lot of people. People came to stay, and I don't think they ever made money.
No, it wasn't meant to. Was
not
it?
meant
She
to.
didn't
No,
need to. It was just
no.
to give
There
her
was a
enjoyment.
wonderful fruit farm, dairy farm, milk round, and a lovely garden to wander around.
But she had 250 acres, did she? Or did
Yes,
she
never had more. No.
No, so you would
She had
never,
a few more houses.
Yeah. But just with the sunken bit, I'm very aware of the sea breezes here because you can see the sea from your house.
Yes.
And obviously the winds are coming in. And I always think when you sink a garden, not only does it make the space look bigger, but it also gets you down out of the window. So if we were sitting out of the wind, so if we were sitting down, we'd almost be out of the wind. If we were lying down, we'd hear it, but we wouldn't feel it. So I think that's a really good ploy to do in a windy garden, is to sink it.
Yes.
And people don't realise how inexpensive it is to sink something now, because in a JCB,
mini diggers, this would have been done by hand.
Yeah.
I think, isn't there a sunken garden at Wisley?
Yes.
Or am I imagining
No, I
it?
think there is. I think there is. Yes.
There are, but it's very Edwardian. It's
Gertrude Jekyll, Luttians, they did a lot of sunken gardens, and this was just before them, wasn't it? 1906. Yes. So they were probably the precursors to that. But looking at the elevation, so in front of us, those are beautiful barns, flint barns, with the clay pantile roofs. And then we've got the grand part of the house with 2 gable ends. Then we've got this bit here with the magnificent chimneys. I mean, it's just peachy. And on that side, we've got the yew. So it really is extraordinary architecture. Everywhere you look, every garden, every space is surrounded by something really special. But this style of gardening you've got in here now, this was probably quite different to...
Would have been a lot tidier.
Yes.
There would have been, when they started, when it was in Country Life, I think in 1915.
Have you got a copy of that?
I think we have.
Oh, lovely.
It had rather restrained bay trees in boxes, in tubs.
Yes.
And very, very perfectly tidy. It was really rather a sort of unfriendly garden.
Over-manicured.
Slightly over-manicured, yeah.
But because the architecture is really the beauty of this, isn't it? And you've got things like the myrtle on the walls and things like that, that this quite low-key approach which you've got, partly because of finance, partly because you prefer this with the agapantha seeding around.
Yeah, and these lovely
ridgerons, the oenotha, the evening primrose.
I love them.
Tree peonies. So it's a very dynamic feel, and you are restraining it. You're clipping the yew and things.
Yes. Oh yes. No, there are. I mean, I haven't been to it recently, but the Knepp garden, they're even rewilding their garden.
Yeah.
Now our kitchen garden is. Amanda went on a tour at Knepp, and I think she's quite keen to have a bit more flowers.
Right, but when they say rewilding the kitchen garden, it's obviously got to be thousands of acres for the real rewilding.
Yes.
They've just taken a different approach to it. It's still managed and maintained quite heavily, isn't it, at Knepp? They've just changed the soils and things like that and changed the plant base. But no, I think this is lovely. So can we see your wall garden?
Let's go and look at the kitchen garden.
So this is your wall garden, Desmond, and obviously they built wall gardens because they protected the crops from the weather. Much warmer here, maybe 6 degrees warmer, do you think? The walls radiate the heat, it keeps out the rabbits, and it's wonderful space, and this would have fed the house.
And now deer we have to keep out.
Yes.
Muntjac and roe deer.
Yeah, and you get a lot of them.
We've never had any here in my youth, but...
And these espalier pears.
Oh dear, yes.
So
well,
these were planted in, what, 1906?
I would say so. And some of them are telling their age.
Yeah, a little
bit. Oh dear, but look at that perfect one.
Yes,
still producing.
Doyen de Comis.
Yes.
They are the most juiciest,
delicious, absolutely
delicious pears in the world. I have to say, it's a lovely mix, isn't it? You've mixed in the phlox, the agapanthus. So down here we've got ornamentals and the pears. And then you've got vegetables over here.
Yes, rather late sweet corn.
Yes.
And we put in red currants and black currants and gooseberries here.
And hollyhocks.
And hollyhocks. The hollyhocks do it themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And up there you've got a little orchard space with a beautiful blue bench.
Those apples, again, they've done well because it's been a very wet year, but I planted those with my mother.
Oh,
There's a nice damson. They do well, but the roots get down either into the chalk and stop being productive.
That's interesting. So, but it's not varietal. What varieties did you put in?
There are different ones. I don't know. I can't tell you. They're not the enormous ones, but anyway. Yeah. And there's a nice green gauge, and there's a wonderful pear that has a pear the size of a cannonball, and it.
But not the texture.
No, you save it. No, not the texture of a cannonball. Save it. It will last almost till April.
Really? What is that?
I don't know its name. It's that one there, and it really is a special one, and it'll last, and stewed pears are delicious.
Ah, fantastic. So really, this was your mother's pride and joy?
Yes,
Chloe,
yes,
who
Chloe,
we saw on your lovely programme, Norfolk. So she did a lot of the gardening.
She did an awful lot of always fiddling about doing something.
Yeah.
Originally there was a man called Mr. Mann, who was the gardener. He looked just like the gardener in Blot on the Landscape, if you remember that thing. Anyway, circular National Health glasses. He was very hard working. He did. Then Reggie Holman worked here, fitting in with the farming. So, and there's a lovely mulberry tree there.
Oh yes. When was that? Was that in 1906?
Oh no, I should think 150 years old.
Because they often, I think, mulberries give an air of ancientness to a place.
Yes.
Because they grow so fast and they quickly look mature. And whenever I see an old fig and an old mulberry, you assume it's hundreds of years old. But actually, they do grow
They are worth planting.
Yes.
There is a story, and in my childhood, there were venomous iron spikes all the way around the walls. Now they've fallen away, and I've just kept a couple of bits indoors. And in the Napoleonic War period, this was used temporarily as a compound for prisoners who were marched around the county to do tasks. One of them was dig out the channel at Blakeney, and I'm sure it's true this would be in the compound where they spent the night.
Oh my God, how
We've never found any bits. I mean, look, nice peacock butterfly.
What?
Anyway, that's you can imagine.
Yeah. So
probably rather pleased to be here than being made to fight Wellington.
Yeah, would be better option, definitely. What amazes me is the shape. It's not square. Is it triangular?
Well, that is, you're absolutely right. Well, if you go up in the air,
yes,
from here it's all rather higgledy-piggledy. And that's exactly you're right. Well, from the air, you can do it's one rectangle square within another square. There's an absolute line from between that corner up to the corner of the big barn over there, past the front of the house, and back and straight down this walk, absolute square, and then another square in it, rather like an Oxford College, or the quad or the monastic basis of planning.
I see.
Of course, no drones in those days, but lots of string and measuring.
But on that lovely picture, you've got the painting in your cafe, your wonderful cafe.
Done by my sister Mary.
Done by your sister Mary. Can we see the shape of the wall garden in that?
You can, yes, but that may, again, there's a lot of artistic license.
Right, okay.
To make a good picture.
Yeah. So I'll have a look at that on Google Maps.
But I will, yes, have a look.
Yeah.
I've also, I got, on the rare occasion someone's flown over, photographed it.
So
that's interesting.
Were these walls heated? Did they have chimneys?
No,
and
these weren't. No. But that's where you can see the original height and then that was where it was knocked down in the 53 flood.
Oh, and the seawater
came
in.
Yes.
My God.
And there were dead rabbits everywhere, because there's rabbits all in the sand dunes. There were boats washed up all along here, and a dead otter here. A torpedo was washed up from there. A torpedo had been probably in a sandbank and washed up, and that was all myth from 1953, and then in 2013 there was another flood.
Yes.
This time no one drowned.
Because they'd altered...
Well, we had mobile phones and stuff, but there was another big flood. It washed down the seawall. This time the water bubbled under the wall. There was a bed of carnations, which I think are related to thrift and dianthus.
Yeah.
And the next year they did beautifully, and they loved a dose of salt water.
Wow.
But nothing. A few things. You can see the dead tree there.
Yeah.
In my childhood, that was a rather like a Paul Nash painting of the First World War with dead trees, and they died eventually. And then again, same thing happened. We've had most of them cut down.
So do you worry now that with the global warming and the
well,
rising?
you have to be aware of it. You can't. Not much you can do.
No. Well,
no.
Maybe. But so
they did mend the seawall, made it wider and fatter. Yeah.
And how about glass? I can't see glass houses. I imagine there were rolls of glass.
There were outside, and they were washed away in the 1953 flood.
How sad.
Those are two olives. The right-hand one was just given to me, and the left-hand one we bought back as a little tiny plant from Seville, and that has survived. No, only we've got the polythene tunnel up there, which is what we grow.
I saw that, and
yes.
you've got tomatoes and things
tomatoes
for the
in there for the cafe, yes, and a few things in there.
I think, Desmond, it's amazing what you've done with this place, because you know, back in the 1900s, when the proprietor had lots of money in deep pockets and it was a thriving estate. But now I think you probably employ more people because you've diversified your cafe, your garden visits.
Yes, I'm told we've got to be a bit careful on that one, but we do employ people, and you couldn't do it without them. Yeah. And people come and walk round and enjoy it, and
so you are.
And we rent out accommodation as well, cottages.
What a wonderful place to stay. Do you
lovely.
do Airbnb?
We haven't done Airbnb, but we just do it ourselves.
Yeah.
And Norfolk coast is a wonderful place to come. There are lots to do.
Yes.
And lots of lovely houses to go and visit, and gardens. Blickling is nearby, and Houghton.
No, I think it's amazing what you've done, and I loved your programme. I really enjoyed the very gentle look we had, and examining the life of one of the aristocracy, and how he manages his place.
Well, he manages, holding on.
Yes, you're doing very well. I think it's fantastic. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Yes.